Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Clangin and Bangin with Mikey, episode 254. And today what we're gonna talk about, man, is people gotta understand that just because you feel a certain way doesn't mean your emotions and feelings are valid to everybody else. They're only valid to you. So as long as people figure that out and they understand that, it's okay to feel what I'm feeling, it's okay to feel a certain way about a certain situation. It doesn't mean that your shit is valid, because some people will sit there and pick a fight with you or do X, Y, and Z with you simply because they have they want to be heard. And simply when that happens to me, I don't argue in the text messages. You know, I call. I show up in person. I do X, Y, and Z, because it's like we're not gonna sit there and fucking go back and forth with our fucking thumbs for 45 minutes. Like, we're not doing that, right? Because we're not. And I think that's the most important thing, man. It's like understanding that just because you have an opinion doesn't mean that it's right, and doesn't mean the other person is wrong. It just means that you have two different views of the same issue. And I think a lot of people, instead of them sitting down and be like, okay, like X, Y, and Z feels this way, why did he or she feel this way? Instead of you sitting there and saying, no, you're wrong and I'm right. I'm like, simple phone call would suffice. It's understanding that sometimes people just be straight up tripping, you know? Sometimes people just be in their fucking feelings and in their fucking heads and just, you know. I had somebody once tell me, like, why does everything have to circle back to you? And what I told this individual was like, I was laying down facts. And part of those facts included me, you know? And it's like, I'm like, okay, let me just leave this alone, because obviously this person feels a certain way about something. And I'm not going to sit here and like engage with this shit at like, you know, wee hours of the night, you know? And that's my thing, man. And that's why it's very important to have good shit on Do Not Disturb. um, because you don't need to be disturbed after a certain period of time. And that's what it is, bro. A lot of people don't know how to create boundaries, don't know how to stand on boundaries, don't know how to enforce boundaries, which is a major thing too. I once had somebody told me, and this is with me in my personal life. They said, "Well, I'm trying to establish boundaries with you, but you make it so hard." I'm like, "How? How, how do I? How is me, you know, making your boundaries hard when I don't know what your boundaries are?" And this person like, "What?" It's like, "Yeah, you never told me what my boundaries are with you. So how can you be establishing boundaries with somebody and not communicating what those boundaries are?" Like, you can't sit there and be like, "Oh, well, I'm trying to establish boundaries because my I was told once, and I still believe this to this day. Is like, if you're trying to do something, you're not doing nothing at all." And it's like, it's ridiculous to me when people sit there and you say, "Well, I'm trying to do X, Y, and Z," or they talk about doing X, Y, and Z, and it's like, yo, instead of you talking about it, instead of you trying to, gas everybody else up about it, gas yourself up. Stop thinking that people care about your goals and your ambitions, because they don't. A lot of people don't care about what you're doing. They want you to be successful, but not more successful than them. And that's what it is. It's like people love to talk about what they're gonna do, but not what they're currently doing. All you got to do is just show up and do the work daily. You don't have to do anything extra. You don't have to do anything out of the ordinary. You don't have to be extraordinary with it. Just got to show up. You got to keep putting in the daily work. It's like, I'm a former competitive bodybuilder, right? A lot of people say like, "Oh, well, I don't know if I can handle the diet." Number one, have you ever done a competitive diet, competitive bodybuilding contest prep diet? 95% of the people haven't. So you don't know what it takes. You just see what everybody else goes through. And not every diet out there is meant for everybody, bro. Like, you don't have to do a contest prep diet to get in shape. You can do a lifestyle diet. You can measure out your food. You can do X, Y, and Z. But you have to start. You just can't continuously talk about it. and talk about it and talk about it and talk about it, because what does that prove? That just proves that you're just good at doing one thing, talking about what you're gonna do. And after a while, people gonna be like, okay, I'm gonna stop listening to Joe Blow or Susan or Sally or whatever, whatever their name is, because all they do is talk about what they're gonna do, you know. And that's the difference between most people, man. It's like a lot of people will sit there and talk about what they want to do, talk about what they're gonna do, but they never talk about what they're currently doing. They never talk about X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, yo, it's like I got a friend of mine, right? Everybody knows I produce music. I love that nigga to death. But he's always talking about, like, yeah, man, I'm gonna come through with my rhyme book. I'm gonna like we're gonna work on tracks. We're gonna do this and this and that. I'm like, yo, I'll believe it when I see it. And he was like, what? He's like, yeah, like you always talking about what you're gonna do. Like, stop talking about it and just come through. Stop talking about it and it's like just come with it. It's like, I don't care you rhyme with trash, bro, but it's like, you gotta start somewhere, right? Like, and it's the same thing with the same brother that I'm talking about. He just got his PhD. Kudos to him and his wife, smart, beautiful people. And I was like, yo, I was like, dog, as much as I love you, man, like your kryptonite is you talk about what you gonna do instead of you just doing it, bro. And it's like after a while, niggas don't believe you because you're like, okay, why would I believe somebody who just continuously talks about what they're gonna do? Like, why would you want to sit there and be around somebody who just talks about what they're gonna do? And it's the same thing with anything, right? Relationships, friendships, whatever it is, whatever type of ship it is, it's the same thing. And a lot of people, like, I hate to sound like a broken record, but they talk about what they're gonna do versus what they're gonna do, and when they get called out on it, they want to get butthurt about it. They want to say X, Y, and Z, and I'm like, and a lot of the times people would try to pick fights. I recently had somebody try to do that with me, and I'm like, look, I'm not gonna go back and forth on our text messages. I'm not gonna go do all this hoopless shit. I'm gonna call. If you don't pick up, whatever, But I'm not doing that shit. I'm not gonna be like, oh yeah. You're like, no, absolutely not. Too old for that shit. You got me fucked up, and you do, because what does it look like me arguing with somebody because you think your feelings are valid to everybody else? You think everybody else feel the same way you do? No, you feel the way you do. Doesn't mean that everybody else has to feel the same way that you do. And that's what it is, man. A lot of people, they think that their feelings are valid. They think that everybody feels the same way, that they do. And nobody does. Like, does it suck? 100%. Is it something that, is it something that people need to come to terms with and deal with? 100%. Like, I'm never going to sit there and say, oh, yeah, so-and-so's, so-and-so's wrong for thinking this. Depending what the conversation is about. But, yo, simply put, and I'm going to wrap this up real short. Your feelings are only valid to you. What you feel is only valid to you. How you feel is valid to you. But please don't think that everybody else around you has to feels the same way you do about anything. And a lot of the times that comes with boundaries too. A lot of times people who say, oh, well, like X, Y, and Z, boom, 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 it's because you lack the boundaries. Because if you were emotionally intelligent and you were smart to an extent, street smart, you would understand that it's okay for other people to feel differently about the same situations you do. Quick story, right? A lot of the times people will get involved in these relationships and X, Y, and Z, and the shit will either work and it doesn't work. It's a 50-50 shot, right? And a lot of times when it doesn't work, people want to sit there and be like, oh, or X, Y, and Z, yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, how's it the other person's fault? You're the one who stayed in the relationship longer than what you needed to stay in it for. You're the one that was looking for a commitment and never got it. But then you're sitting there complaining about it when everybody else is like, how how can you not see that? You know, or like I had an acquaintance that I knew. She was married, and she told me, "Hey, Mikey, can you talk to my husband about why he doesn't want to have any kids?" I'm like, "Nope," because number one, that's none of my business, and number two, that's a conversation that you two should have had well before you got married. She's like, "What?" I was like, "Yeah." It's like, what does it look like? You got another guy asking another guy, like, "Hey, man, like, like your wife wanted to know why you don't want to have any kids." Like I said, number one, it's none of my business, and number two, her feelings are valid. Her emotions are valid, but they're only valid to her. And like what it comes down to is lack of communication and setting boundaries. It's like if you want kids, great. Go find somebody who wants to have kids with you. Just because you're married to somebody, just because you love them, doesn't mean they want the same shit you want. And vice versa. Just because you have a gang of kids with a motherfucker, doesn't mean that they're gonna love you because of that. A lot of motherfuckers love the title of mom and dad, but they don't understand what comes with it. And anyway, man, it's about 12 minutes of your life that you won't get back. Hope y'all keeping the 4 P's. Private player, positive pushing.